Okay, so I have another kind of like for those of you who follow this particular side of my politics. For those of you who don't, you can tune out or whatever. So I had this guy stay here because he said he wanted to come out, because if he was physically closer to this ecosystem in Hollywood, then he would be able to. He said he was working with a research group. I don't know any of these people, by the way. He did not introduce me to anybody he was working with. He said he was working with a research group and they were about to just blow the lid off on this ecosystem. And I was like, okay, well, I have a spare room right now. So if you want to stay, that's fine. And I've mentioned that he was totally disrespectful. He was completely intolerant. He ate me out of house and home. He started like treating me like I was the little woman in my own house. He was a guest in my house, you guys. He was a guest in my house. He wanted me to drive him all over the place. That was never part of the agreement. Like I told him, hey, I might be able to give you a lift once in a while, but I'm literally starting a new job right now. I don't have time to do this all day. And I mean, we don't have great public transportation, but I did offer to give him a lift to like the Irvine train station. I told him, why aren't you going on? He literally was walking to the library every day using their internet, even though he had access to my Wi-Fi here. But I don't know what's going on with his devices or whatever. I think he was probably like borrowing one of their computers or something. And I'm like, you could literally look up how to use the public transportation system. I've helped other activists this way. I literally picked up, like just a couple months ago, I picked up one of my activist friends at this Irvine station and gave him a lift down to San Diego. But you have to make some level of effort, right? You have to, you can't just come into somebody's house and expect that I'm going to be your taxi driver and your maid and pay for your existence, because the guy did not give me a penny. He didn't give me a penny, even though he said he was going to give me $500. Well, anyway, I got an update recently because one of the live streamers he introduced me to, who has been studying this, he's a fella who I think he's like ADHD or autism or something. He's very open and honest about that. Like that's a pretty common thing, right? So he has been analyzing specifically Convo Couch for a while now on YouTube. I think he goes by the name Tokyo Shemp. And I went to his channel and was looking at a couple of his videos, and we kind of did a little back and forth commentary. So he told me this dude stayed with me. It has like, he actually the activist kept mentioning this too. He's like, well, don't you read my stuff? Don't you watch my Patreon? And I'm like, I don't watch anybody's Patreons. I'm not paying for shit. I don't watch anybody's Patreons. So he's apparently now asking people to donate like $1,000 a month to him. I'll tell you straight up. Like the only time I've done any level of fundraising, which has been very minimal amounts of fundraising, has been to, ask my network to help pitch in to help me get like marketing supplies for either my chapter or for when I was running for like assembly district delegate or central committee or something. So like I used to put a tip jar out at my meetings when we met in person. I've been paying for all this crap myself, you guys. Like the Zoom account and everything, I pay for it all myself. So it's mine. I own it. But I used to do a lot of handouts. I used to do, try and get donations and stuff. And I had a recurring donation that would go back to PDA since, I've been working with them. And so when I was putting these meetings together and live streaming these speakers and stuff, I was doing so to also help, be able to send a little bit back to PDA, right? This dude, oh my God. So he's asking for like $1,000 a month for his Patreon. He's not an unintelligent man, but he presents himself as one. You know what I mean? So like, I have read some of his stuff. He does know how to string together sentences, but he's very prone to conspiracy theories. He's kind of somewhere in the middle of that horseshoe theory. I don't know where he lands in it, because it was really confusing to have somebody who is trying to investigate and research people who are literally putting forward the same conspiracy theories that he believed in too. That didn't make any sense to me. But on top of it, he was so entitled. Like, he came here and he was just, he apparently like became Muslim like 6 years ago, and he was so entitled. He felt that the Muslim religion, that the mosques in the area should have been feeding him, that they should have been giving him money. I mean, I've been a Catholic all my life, and we're pretty, we have a very charitable nature, but we don't sustain people's existence. That's why, this is also why GOP thinking doesn't work, because you cannot rely on people's charity to actually like sustain people's existence. That just is not possible. That is why we are seeking better solutions through actual socialist programs through our government. That's why we're seeking them, because these are not sustainable. Living off of a food bank is not sustainable. Living off of a mosque is not sustainable. Expecting people to just give you money because you're poor is not sustainable. That's why we have to have actual government solutions for the poverty and income disparities and everything else that's happening in America today. We have to have we have to have legislative solutions for this. Somebody wrote on Twitter yesterday, I think it might have been Anna Kasparian, is that her name? Might have been her. No, you know what? It wasn't. It was somebody else. It was Alex somebody. Said that part of our demands as progressives should be a maximum salary. And I mean, that was a tweet, so you only have so much space to actually write what your idea is. But if I was to interpret that correctly, it's kind of the model that like Ben and Jerry had back in the 90s, where your CEO can only make a certain percentage over the lowest income worker. That should be a reality, because they've abused it so severely at this point that we have to put some limitations on this. And I mean, that's just basic economics. You have to put controls in place. Otherwise, it does become authoritarianism. That's the word I'm looking for. Anyway, point being, there are crazies everywhere. And just because people agree with you on a couple of topics here and there does not mean that they actually are going to be good allies for you. And that's what I found out. He seemed like, you know what? He pursued me. He started writing to me in February. He was absolutely pursuing me and trying to butter me up for this. I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. Like, I'm such a sucker for helping people. I am such a sucker for helping people. But yeah, he started writing to me in February. He's like, if I just had a place to stay, I could really take down this network because I have so much information. Okay. Well, here we are. They're still not taken down. Dude even got all sorts of, he got to look over my shoulder and see what it really is to be a Democratic organizer, and was still just, he wasn't interested in the truth. He was not interested in the truth of what it actually looks like. He wanted to live in this dream world of being completely obsessed with their fantasy of live stream. I mean, because what they do is not real. What they do is they live stream and they talk about the news of the day that they read or whatever latest spin they want to push out. What they do is not real. It's just disruptive. It's not helpful, it's not disruptive, but they're not doing any real investigative work or anything. But he's so upset. He was so obsessed by them. And he kept talking to me about all these people that I don't even watch and I don't know. I don't know who they are. I don't watch these live streams. I don't even know. And he was so persistent. like would just get in my face and grill me, and I'm like, you've literally asked me the same questions over and over again, and I've told you everything I can possibly tell you. He also wanted me to he wanted me to tell him how he could make money through a live stream, and I'm like, I don't know, I've never made money through live streaming before. He was totally, it was all about money for him. That guy was trying to find every easy possible way to make money. He I don't know what he thinks he knows about certain leaks that he thinks he has, but I kind of feel like he doesn't know shit. And he was making assumptions, and that he was operating on just knowledge that it wasn't real. It wasn't, it was, well, I assume XYZ because I saw XYZ happen. I don't think, I think he was drawing conclusions. I think he was drawing inappropriate conclusions. Maybe not in all cases. I don't know, because he didn't tell me everything he knows. He did not tell me everything he knows. But what he did tell me seemed to, the puzzle pieces didn't seem to fit together. What do they call that? Ambulance chasers? It's an ambulance chaser, right? It's when you can see that there's a hot fire about to happen, and you try and jump on board with it. And I think that's what he was doing. He could see that that network was about to explode, and he was hoping to jump in on it and like boost himself through a live streaming network. Get some sort of money that way. That's why, this is also why, like, I have a problem with everybody out there who's trying to make money live streaming right now, because none of you are credentialed. Not a one of you. None of you are.